Hey guys, what is up? My name is Alex Lux and Left. This is my first video recording on YouTube. Normally I do lives and or I'll upload videos from my TikTok shorts. But I am really wanting to make the move to YouTube. So I am excited and scared. I literally just uploaded um, StreamYard and I'm just kind of learning as I go. I love everything politics and I love the news. I'm one of those weirdos. A little bit about me. I I have over 15 years of HR experience. My last job, I was an HR director. Um, and I moved to Austin, Texas with my kids. Yeah, and then I was laid off. I am thinking I'm going and, basically I'm in the middle of a midlife crisis, and that's okay. But I want to see where this takes me. I'm really excited about the prospect of doing this full time, and I got a decent following, small following on TikTok. Of course, right before the ban went into effect, but yeah, and so I've been doing these like little news updates on TikTok, and they've been doing pretty good. I do lives on there as well, but I think my end goal is to come to YouTube and stream on YouTube. Is a little bit more my pace, I think. Um, yeah, my family is super duper political. My The way that I basically report on it is really coming from a leftist perspective. Politics has been in my family forever. My dad was actually a political science major, and so doing social justice things has always been kind of a family tradition. So yeah, I love it. I love looking at the news and dissecting it, and really kind of honing in on the experience that I have that my dad passed on to me. And yeah, so I hope to do this on a more consistent basis. But I think I'm going to start it off with a story. Uh, since the Trump administration, basically, we're seeing an increase because of the chaoticness of it all. We're seeing an uptick on plane crashes. The plane crash that occurred in let me pull that up right now. Let me share that screen. Like I said, I'm literally learning as we go. So we've got the plane crashes under Trump's administration. I think it was like within the first week, they had that horrific accident in DC, and he wanted to blame it on DEI initiatives, which is absolutely ridiculous, stating that the people that the FAA controllers were out of their depth, that this is what happens when you hire applicants, candidates that aren't qualified to do the work that they do. And and the Democrats basically pushed back. I think it was Pete Buttigieg on his Twitter feed that basically said, this is your administration. And in fact, there's word that he had actually already laid off several FAA employees at that time. So it was pretty much, under the administration that crash occurred. So a summary of what we've got right now. Let me pull this up because as we speak, there's a Delta plane that has flipped upside down at the Toronto airport. Let me pull that up. Here we go. Skip this bad boy. It's scary. Sorry about that. I had it up on mine on a second tab. I will get it together. I swear it. I swear it. Come on, ad. I mean, you guys, it's pretty gnarly. It looks bad. But supposedly there's no here we go.
Crashing and flipping.
Look at that.
Upside down at the airport in Toronto. Reuters reporting that it was a flight from Minneapolis and that all passengers and crew are accounted for. The scene says that 8 people are injured. Look at this plane. It is literally upside down. There is no word on how this happened. You can see there's a lot of snow on the ground.
This happened
in Toronto. It happened moments ago. Senior correspondent Eric Shawn has been gathering the latest information here. Hi, Eric.
Hello, Martha. It is a dramatic and shocking sight when you look at that airplane. It is a Delta flight that took off from Minneapolis MSP Airport earlier today and landed about 2:13 or so in Toronto Pearson International Airport when it suddenly flipped over on its back, ending belly up. Thankfully, as we have said, that there were no deaths. There are 8 injuries reported. Officials, paramedics on the scene say of those injuries, 1 person is in critical condition. The rest are mild to moderate injuries. So that is what we know right now.
All right. So that happened today. Delta flight 4819 took off from Minneapolis about 11:47 a.m. today, February 17th. It completely flipped on its back on the snowy runway. I mean, it looks gnarly. All right, let's take this off. Okay. So going back to these plane crashes, I found a summary of all of them since Trump has taken over. There's been 4 deadly plane crashes in the United States that's taken place in 2025. Before 2025, the most recently deadly plane crash involving a U.S. airliner was in 2009. In total, 85 people have died in 2025 plane crashes. So we are only in February. That's really concerning. And we'll go into, after this, we're going to talk about the terminations that have transpired at the FAA. So on January 29th, a Bombardier CRJ-700 operating as American Airlines Flight 5342 collided with a Sikorsky UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter above the Potomac River in Washington, D.C., and all 64 people on board that plane and the helicopter were killed. January 31st, so that was January 29th. January 31st, a medical jet crash in Philadelphia killed 7 people. The Lear jet generated a massive fireball when it smashed into the ground in a neighborhood not long after taking off from a small airport nearby. February 6th, Cessna 208B Grand Caravan operating as a Bering Air Flight 445 from Unalakleet to Nome, Alaska, went missing 10 minutes before its scheduled arrival at Nome. The wreckage of the aircraft was found 34 miles from Nome in the Bering Sea. All 10 people aboard the aircraft passed away. February 10th, a plane veered off the runway and crashed into a parked plane at the Scottsdale Airport in Arizona. 1 person was killed and 4 others were injured. And then today, granted, it was in Canada, but I wanted to show you guys that. So that was when that Delta Airlines flight went belly up, crashing at Toronto Pearson International Airport on Monday. Emergency crews confirmed that they were responding to an incident at the airport and that all passengers and crew members had been accounted for. Delta Flight 4819, which took off from Minneapolis about 11:47 a.m., appeared flipped on its back on a snowy runway, according to the photos and the video posted online. Delta Airline plane was upside down in Toronto. So yeah, at least 8 people have been confirmed reported injured so far, but the severity of their injuries could not be immediately confirmed. So let's talk a little bit. I mean, this is just a mess. I'm going to share this one now. Okay. Okay, let's go over the FAA. I don't think I'm sharing that. Here we go. Okay. Let me pull this one up. All right. Sorry about this. Okay, here we go. I've been a busy girl this morning. All right. So Trump begins firings. This is from the AP. This is Associated Press, released today, February 17th. Trump begins firings of FAA air traffic control staff just weeks after the fatal DC plane crash. The Trump administration has been begun firing several hundred FAA employees, upending staff on a busy air travel weekend, and just weeks after a January fatal mid-air collision at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. Probationary workers were targeted in the late night emails on Friday, notifying them that they had been fired. David Spiro, the president of the Professional Aviation Safety Specialists Union, said in a statement, the impacted workers include personnel hired for FAA radar, landing, and navigational aid maintenance. One air traffic controller told the Associated Press. The air traffic controller was not authorized to talk to the media and spoke on the condition of anonymity. The National Air Traffic Controllers Association said in a brief statement on Monday, today, it was, quote, analyzing the effect of the reported federal employee terminations on aviation safety, the national airspace system, and our members. Other FAA employees were working on an urgent and classified early warning radar system the Air Force had announced in 2023 for Hawaii to detect incoming cruise missiles through a program that was in part funded by the Department of Defense. Due to the nature of the work, staff in that office typically provide an extensive knowledge transfer before retiring to make sure that no institutional knowledge is lost, said Charles Spitzer Stadlander, one of the employees in that branch who was terminated. The Hawaii Radar and the FAA National Defense Program Office working on it is about protecting national security, Spitzer Stadlander said. I don't think they even know what NDB does. They just thought, oh, no big deal. He just works for the FAA. This is about protecting national security, and I'm scared to death, Spitzer Stadlander had said. And the American public should be scared too. Spiro said messages began arriving after 7 p.m. on Friday and continued late into the night. More might be notified over the long weekend or barred from entering FAA buildings on Tuesday. The employees were fired without cause, nor based on performance or conduct, Spiro said. And the emails were from an exec order Microsoft email address, you guys. It wasn't even from an agency or a governmental email address. It is from a private Microsoft email address. A copy of the termination email that was provided to the AP shows the sending address from the address ask AHR exec orders at usfaa.mail.outlook.com. The firings hit the FAA when it faces a shortfall in controllers. Federal officials have been raising concern about an overtaxed and understaffed air traffic control system for years, especially after a series of close calls between planes at U.S. airports. Among the reasons that they've cited for staffing shortages are uncompetitive pay, long shifts, intensive training, and mandatory retirements. So this goes completely against what Trump had mentioned before, that the FAA was hiring, under just DEI, and that these people were severely incompetent. And so that completely contradicts what Trump had stated about the air traffic controllers. And just a sidebar, I was the HR manager for 8 years for a federal contractor, of which we provided personnel security and physical security for, and one of those contracts was for the FAA. And I distinctly remember going to the one in Virginia and getting a tour. And basically it was just insane, the amount of training, education, physicals that you had to do. And it was an extremely demanding job. So I recall that, just having an introduction to the FAA. It was pretty intense. So they take that job very seriously. Of course they would, because people's lives depend on it. you're sitting there navigating and basically controlling the air traffic with hundreds of lives on board. It's like, yeah, of course they would take that seriously. Anyway, the firings hit the FAA when it faces a shortfall in controllers. Federal officials have been raising concerns. Okay, we talked about that. In the January 29th fatal crash between the U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter and American Airlines passenger jet, which is still under investigation, one controller was handling both the commercial airline and the helicopter traffic at the busy airport. So you've got one air traffic controller controlling the traffic for commercial and for helicopter traffic. That's insane. Just days before the collision, President Donald Trump had already fired all the members. So this is what I was talking about. Before that happened, that plane crash with that helicopter happened, President Donald Trump had already fired all of the members of the Aviation Security Advisory Committee. So the oversight, right? A panel mandated by Congress after the 1988 Pan Am 103 bombing over Lockerbie, Scotland. The committee was charged with examining safety issues at airlines and at airports. Why? It's so weird. And I know there's all the conspiracy theorists that are, that are saying, well, I wonder who was on there. There's just all sorts of and I don't blame them. I mean, it's really fishy. And I actually read in another article, and now I can't recall what the article was, but they had just had at the same airport, they had just had a near miss collision between a plane and a helicopter prior to this one, just days before. It's just too weird. Spitzer Stadlander, so our whistleblower, suggested he was targeted for firing for his views on Tesla and X, formerly Twitter, not as a part of the general probationary level sweep. Both companies are owned by Elon Musk, who is leading Trump's effort to cut the federal government. Spitzer Stadlander is Jewish, and it was angered by Musk's straight arm saluting at Trump's inauguration, and looks like he took to Facebook. He encouraged his friends to get rid of their Teslas and X or Twitter and accounts in response to Musk's straight arm salute. The post drew the attention of a DOGE Facebook account. Why would they have a Facebook account? That's so weird. Which reacted with a laughing emoji. So let's think about this for a second. This is a team that has not been signed off by Congress. As far as I know, there has not been any information that confirms whether or not they have had actual security clearances. They are between the ages of 19 to 25. One of the members has already been terminated or resigned because of his racist tweets, and then was brought back on. And they want to be taken seriously. They have been charged with essentially purging federal agencies and determining who is going to stay and who's going to go. And they gave a laughing emoji. That was their official response. Oh my. Soon after, he saw the same account reacting to much older posts through his personal Facebook feed. That's a little concerning. The official DOGE Facebook page started harassing me on my personal Facebook account after I criticized Tesla on Twitter, Spitzer Stadlander wrote in a post over the weekend on LinkedIn. Less than a week later, I was fired despite my position allegedly being exempted due to national security. So Spitzer Stadlander is exempt from furloughs, from terminations because of his position upholding the national security. He added, when DOGE fired me, they turned off my computer and wiped all of my files without warning. Spitzer Stadlander said he was supposed to be exempted from the probationary firings because the FAA office he worked in focused on national security threats, such as the attacks on the national airspace by drones. The Musk-led DOGE did not immediately respond to a request for comment, and the firings were first reported by CNN. So, man, this is so concerning. Like I said, I will continue to keep you guys updated. I'm really focusing, obviously, on the Trump administration, the firings that have occurred across the board throughout the entire United States government. And yeah, I absolutely love what it is that I do. I love politics. I love all things news, and I would really, really appreciate your support. So be sure to comment, like, subscribe to my channel, and in my link in my YouTube, there's a link to my TikTok, so you can go ahead and follow me on there. Also on Blue Sky, you can find me on there. Yeah, until next time, I will see you guys later, and thank you so much for watching. Peace.